Hello, my loves. Welcome to another edition of Street Talk. Today we have back again Brother Knight. Say hello to everybody.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing out there? Thank you for supporting me.
Brother Darrell, today's topic is do not give up on the church. And I know that a lot of people who have been going to the church, a lot of people is leaving the church now. So we just want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Can you tell me how long have you been back in church?
I've been back in I've been back in church for approximately about like 5 years.
What made you go back to church?
Well, what made me go back to church?
Or let me change it. Did you go to church before and then stop going and then got back into church?
I was going to the church before and then I had stopped and then I went back. I went back after I saw that being in darkness, you know, being frustrated with things in my life that wasn't taking me nowhere, you know. It was just only holding me down and, you know, stressing me out.
Okay, can you give us a little background of when you first started going to church? What was the feeling like?
Well, I first.
And how old were you?
I first started going to church, and I would say 93. So I was like 32 years old.
Oh, that's when you first started going?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 90. No. Excuse me. I'm talking about when I started going back. When I first started going was like in the 80s.
Okay.
In the 80s, around like 82. It was good. I really enjoyed it. But I would say that I wasn't really grounded. I wasn't really grounded. I wasn't really grounded compared to now, you know.
So what was you going through that made you like stop? Was it like your lifestyle, or you just stopped going? Was it the pastor? Was it the teachings?
What made me stop? Like I said, what made me stop was because I wasn't fully grounded, and I would say being in a big church. When you're in a big church, it's hard for the pastor to know who you are, especially if you ain't a member of the church, because you're just going to the service.
Yeah,
you know?
It's crazy because I hear a lot of people say, you know, that's like one of the reasons too why they stop going. You know, big churches is a reason. Okay, and what other reasons?
Well, people complain about big church and small church, but see, people don't know that I found out myself, small church with a small group of people is real beneficial.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to how you got back to church.
Okay, now how I got back to...
No, we're gonna finish what took you from going to church.
Okay. What took me from going to church is my sins. You know, my love for the world, the things of the world. That's what stopped me. You know, I was caught up in my smoking weed, you know, and caught up in the woman and stuff, you know. So that basically like got me away from the church and stuff.
So when did you start to notice that you needed to get back in church? Before you said, okay, let me stop at this church and become a member? Like, what was you missing, or what was you lacking, or was it a reason that made you get back to church?
I was lacking peace, peace of mind. You know, I was lacking that. What made me go back back is because I was seeing that and doing all the things that I thought that was go give me peace or that was gonna make me
You wasn't basically getting fulfilled with the worldly
I was
things.
right.
So it was like a void, and you was trying to fill that void, but it wasn't getting filled.
right.
So you had to
Right.
go back.
Right. So yeah, and but during that time, it also it helped me because it made me see that all you doing you stuck. You think you're happy, but you're happy just temporary. You're happy just for temporary. And then once those people gone, once them people gone, you're back to yourself. You're back to your normal self. So processing that in my mind and being truthful with myself that listen, I'm not going nowhere with this. I'm doing this every day in and out, and then when everything is gone, when the person gone, when the weed gone and everything, I'm still left with me. So that. And when my lung collapsed, that also helped me get back on board to the person who created me. When my lung collapsed, because I was smoking weed and smoking cigarettes at the same time, and my lung had collapsed when I was in the house. I was in the house with my son, and my lung collapsed. I was taking a shower, and when I got out of the shower, I started feeling pain, and my lung collapsed. So I didn't want my son to see me in that predicament. Especially, he didn't know I was smoking, so I told him to go home, and I straightened everything up, and I called the ambulance. But when my lung collapsed, the right side of my lung collapsed, and I went to the hospital, and they treated me, put a tube in me. You would think that I learned a lesson, but when I came out, I started doing what I left off with. Still smoking again. Still into the woman. And what's so surprising is that the doctor told me before I left. He said, if you keep on smoking and doing what you're doing, you're going to be here five more years later. You're going to be here again. And sure enough, 5 years later, from 2010, when my first collapsed lung, I had another collapsed lung in 2015, and this one was on my left side. And this was really that got my attention, because they had to operate on me. They had to take a piece of my lung, So that really woke me up, the pastor who I'm with now.
Wait, we're gonna get to that part. I wanted to get your journey of you finding the church. Remember, we want to go through the steps, because we want people to know, who has given up on the church and the journey it is to get back in church. So we want to walk them through, so maybe they can get some hope, and you gotta find a church now.
Yeah. Well, some people give up church because of what they're not getting in church. You got some pastors today. They ain't even preaching the word. They're just giving the people what they want to hear, because all the pastor is into is how much money he could get. I guess to keep up the bill, the payment of the church or whatever. But the person leave out empty, not filled with nothing.
So what was your journey in after you feel like, okay, I'm not getting fulfilled, I have a a void, something is missing, and you realize, hey, I need God back in my life. So, what was your journey into looking for a new church? It's like, did you know exactly where you wanted to go? Did somebody bring you there? Did you go from church to church and then you said, okay, this is the one for me? What was your journey?
Well, again, well, the pastor that I'm with now, me and him was under the same pastor before he came pastor.
Pastor where?
At what? Pastor where?
Where were you? Where were you before?
I was at Victory. Victory.
So you met your pastor there?
I met my pastor there, but he was a evangelist.
Okay.
And I like how every time I was come, he would prophesize to me. Would prophesize to me. So, and I had my brother also was a member of that church. My brother was on. My brother was like going to prison. He was going to prison, preaching in prison. So him and my brother also used to do evangelism together. So how I began to hooked up with him is one day my brother who lived in Florida came to visit me, and that brother who is evangelist, he was at the dentist's office over here where I live, and he was preaching, and my brother took me in there. And from that time on, I started going to the prayer meeting. So as I was going to the prayer meeting, he told me, now this is when he became pastor, when I went to the prayer meeting. That's when I first knew that he was pastor, because at that time he was an evangelist. He wanted me to come. He had a church out in Canarsie, but he had a prayer meeting here at the dentist's office by Kifu. And he wanted me to come to his church in Canarsie, but I told him that for me to come to Canarsie, it would be too much because y'all start at a later time, and at that time I was used to going around like 12 and coming out early, get my. So, but I told him, I promised him one thing. I told him, I said, well, if God blessed you with a church out here, I would support you.
Wow.
I would support you. And right after I said that, my God, 2 weeks later, he had a church out here.
Wow, you see how that goes?
He had a church out here,
See
and
how
ever
God
since,
works?
ever since then, I've been a member of his church. He's a great pastor. I knew him for over like 20 years.
So, I know that you also now, because of the fulfillment that you're getting and all the work that God is doing in your life, now you trying to bring people into church. What made you feel like you wanted to be the one now who wants to bring people in?
Well,
and what do you, how do you guys, you do that? Yeah.
Well, how I started doing that is, I'm thank you for God allowing me to hook up with a pastor that all about evangelists. So every Saturday he would take us out and we saturate Coney Island. We would go door to door, knocking on people's door, praying for them, giving them literature and stuff. So my first time out with him doing that, and seeing how people was in the need for prayer,
right,
and how they was going through things, that made me wanted to do that every Saturday. I became a part of the team doing it every Saturday, and I tell you, after a week of doing that, God just put it in me to do that on my time too when I have time for myself. And I started feeding the homeless in the neighborhood. You know, I started feeding the homeless, and that gave me a chance to more less affect my prayer. Because once I fed them, I gave them prayer, and as I kept on doing that, my prayer life became even stronger. So now I was willing to just go out and just anybody who God put in my path that need to hear word, I will pray for them because I wanted to win as much soul as I could win for the Lord for all the things that the devil had took from me during my 20 years being in darkness, being in the world. You know, so that's why now I'm just I'm hungry for souls. You know, I'm hungry to share the word of God because.
All right. I just like to say, like, you have some people who have given up on church,
Yeah.
but not the Lord. Do you think there is a separate of the two? Can you still have love for the Lord and not go to church, or do you think it goes together?
It goes together, you know, because God's words tell you to assemble with the saints, you know. Um, some people giving up on church.
But what would you say to them? Because is it like find a church that suits you, or find a pastor that suits you? You know, it's like so much
No.
now. I mean, it's like abroad. People are dropping out of church now, and on top of that, like with me, I started church three years old. So I've always knew since 3 years old. Like in these days and time, parents, I noticed that like in Sunday schools, it's not filled up anymore because the parents have now walked out of the church. That now, even if our parents didn't make it to church when we was growing up, they still sent us. Like all of that has changed. How do
Right.
we get back to,
Right.
bringing that back? What is the message? What makes the message different?
I would say this, you know, first and foremost, you need to find a church that's speaking the word, and the word deal with the cross, deal with his crucifixion, his resurrection, you know, and the blood, you know, what he died for, you know. If you go to a church and they ain't speaking the cross, they ain't speaking the resurrection.
Well, what about support? Because you have a lot of churches that a lot of people dropping out too because a lot of people is going through stuff, and you have certain churches that they are good at supporting some churches that are not.
Well,
So
a lot of people dropping out of church, and I heard this firsthand from people that I used to attend other churches with. A lot of churches ain't even showing love. A lot of churches ain't even showing love. Soon you get in the door, you hear more. How you doing? Yeah. Some churches, they ain't even showing love.
exactly.
Soon you come in the door, you hear more gospel than love, you know, and it really disturbed me because how you gonna be a pastor, be on the pulpit talking about God, and you ain't even showing love to the people who come through the door. You ain't even showing love to your congregation, because if you were showing love to your congregation, they would know how to love people who come through that door.
It's a joke now. It's like they call them pork chop pastors or the ATM churches.
Yeah.
You know, the churches that you walk in, like the first thing you see now is ATM.
Yeah. It became a joke. It became a joke. That's why, you know, like I said, I'm thank God that I'm under a pastor that about saving soul. Saving soul. We ain't all about money with us. We about saving soul. We about people
changing lives.
being knowing the Lord.
Yes.
You know, we about that because listen, after you get to know who created you, the best thing for a person to know who created them, know what they worth. You know, but once you do that, you know, everything else, God will add everything else. Once you seek Him first, the kingdom of God, He will add everything else that you need, because He know what you need. You know, that's why He says seek Him first. You know, and all things will be added. But today, church, you don't have no pastors doing God's work. They doing what they feel, because if God even speaking His word, He tells you to go out and spread the gospel.
Yes.
And a lot of pastors, they ain't even doing that. They staying in their church and their congregation. All he's speaking to is his congregation. His congregation don't even go out and spread the word. But once you go out and you're evangelist and speak the word of God, you know, that's how you save life. That's how you save life. You don't save life by staying in the church. You got, and a lot of pastors don't even want to do that. They don't even want to do that because they know what it requires. You know, the enemy, the devil will attack you even harder when you going out to save soul and evangelist. The devil will attack you hard. That's why when you do something like an evangelist, you gotta give all your all to God, because He is the only one that gonna protect you. He's the only one that gonna give you wisdom how to deal with certain things. Because when the devil attack you, listen, the devil attack you from. He come at you with your mind, because you know what? A lot of people don't know. Your mind is the battlefield.
Of course.
Your mind is the battlefield. If he could get your mind, he already got you. You know? So when you give it all to God teach you how to be prepared for His attack. You know? How to deal with His attack, because hey, just like the sinners and the unbeliever, I go through the same thing that they go through. I still go through the same trials and tribulation that they go. I'm not exempt. The only difference is that I know how to deal with it, because I got the God in my life. I know how to deal with it. He tells you in His Word how to deal with each situation.
So, you know, we can ready to come to a close, but we will do a part 2 on this.
Amen.
We will do a part 2.
Amen.
You know, so what last thing that you would like to say for people giving up on the church, and then we will resume this?
I would say evaluate yourself, because you're not giving up on the church. You're giving up on God. You know, you're giving up on God. You're not giving up on the church. The church don't have nothing to do with anything. Your salvation come from God. Your salvation come from the person who created you, Jesus Christ. That's where it all boils down. It don't boil. Stop looking at what's going on in the church and who ain't doing who. But I'll say this: if you're gonna look at the church, look at it as is it preaching the word? Now, if it ain't preaching the word, you get out and find a church that preaching the word. And when you find a church that preaching the word, don't be so much in what anybody doing. Let God work on you.
Yeah.
Deal with you. Deal with you.
All right.
That's how you become victorious.
All right, Brother Knight.
Hallelujah.
Thank you for another great session of Street Talk. And if you like this video, click like. If you have any comments, comment. If you like to subscribe, subscribe. Peace. See you on part 2.